Hi, my second grade friends. I hope that you are doing well and that you are ready for science today. So let's get started. So last week in science, we learned about different erosion solutions or controls that are already all around the world and being used. The first one, planting vegetation, we learned is when vegetation or roots and shrubs are purposely planted at the beach or in dirt so that the roots of that vegetation can hold onto the ground so that it does not erode. And then you guys drew a picture of what it looks like. Windbreak is when trees are purposely planted in rows, right? So that they make a wall to break the wind. We learned that levees and dikes are mounds of earth materials, so that means dirt or sticks or shrubs, a lot like vegetation, except these mounds are really, really big, and they're usually along the path of a river or a pond, so that if it rains a lot, that water level doesn't rise too much where it will flood towns or neighborhoods or things like that. Dams are these big giant walls that are built along a river. So unlike a levee, it doesn't go next to the river. It's actually built across a river. And the purpose of a dam is to catch sticks and rocks and dirt and different things that might carve a river and make it bigger. And then lastly, seawalls. You don't even really have to explain seawalls because you guys can see seawalls all around Winthrop, right? They protect us from the waves. Today, we are going to play the Erosion Explosion game. And this won't take up the entire lesson, but it will be fun and it will help us review. Let's go over these things here. First of all, you'll play along with Miss Millerick. I'm gonna go question by question. If I'm going too fast, you can always pause, all right? But we're not gonna be playing in teams. You're just gonna be playing along with me. Second, there are 3 rounds. Each round is harder than the one before it. Third, you will need to take out your science journal and a pencil because you are recording your own points. All right, and lastly, I want you to keep track of your points. Don't let erosion carry you away. Let's get started. So here is round 1. We're going to start with round 1. If you get any of these questions correct, you'll give yourself 1 point. What is it called when wind or water changes the shape of land? What is it called when wind or water changes the shape of land? What is the answer? Make sure you say it out loud or write it down. If you need more time, you can go ahead and pause. I'm going to give the answer. It is erosion. So if you got that right, give yourself a point. Erosion is when wind or water changes the shape of land. Next question. Do you think water flows slower or faster when it runs down a hill? Think about how rivers are formed, how the water, hits the top of a mountain first and then trickles down the mountain, and this is how rivers are created. That river water, is it going to flow slower or faster when it's coming down a hill? Pause if you need more time. The answer is faster. Give yourself a point if you got that right. Next, what is it called when a farmer plants rows of trees around the crops to prevent wind erosion? So look at this picture. What type of erosion control is this? When trees are planted in perfect patterns or rows to prevent or stop wind erosion. Pause if you need more time. The answer is windbreak or windbreaker. 1 point if you got that correct. Next question. What is this type of erosion control called? Pause if you need more time. The answer is seawalls. Next question. What is another term for plants and shrubs? What is another term for plants or shrubs? This is a tricky one. Pause if you need more time. The answer is vegetation. Remember, planting vegetation is when you plant weeds or grass, shrubs, plants, things like that. Next question. Ooh, what are seawalls made from? Look at the picture of the seawalls in this photo right here. There's 2 different kinds. What are they made out of? Pause if you need more time. You could have told me reinforced concrete, boulders, or steel. And boulders, boys and girls, are these big, gigantic rocks. That's what seawalls can be made from. 1 point if you got any of those, concrete, boulders, or steel. All right, next question. What part of the plant holds the soil in place to help erosion from occurring? So think about planting vegetation when grass or weeds or shrubs are planted at the beach, right? What part of that plant holds the soil in place to help erosion from occurring? Pause if you need more time. The answer is the roots of the plant. Moving on to round 2, here we go. It says, you are doing great. Are you ready to kick it up a notch? Score 2 points for each correct answer now. Here we go. What is this type of erosion control called? So these types of erosion controls protect against tides and winds of the ocean. What is it called? Pause if you need more time. The answer is seawalls. All right, fill in the blank here. If I wanted to control the erosion of a river, I could build a blank. So there's a few answers that would actually fit in that spot. Pause if you need more time. Here are some answers. A dike, a levee, or a river dam. So you only had to get one of those to receive the 2 points. Next question, why are windbreaks planted on the edge of a field? So this is an opinion. Why are windbreaks planted on the edge of a field? Pause if you need more time to think about it. If you came up with anything that sounds like this, you can give yourself 2 points, right? The answer is it makes a barrier on the outside to protect the inside from the winds. You could have said that windbreaks act as a wall. You could have said that they protect the wind from hitting the crops, right? Anything like that would have worked. 2 points. Next question. Levees are usually made from blank. What are levees usually made out of? Think of those mounds along a river that control the water levels so that the river doesn't flood into towns or neighborhoods or parks. What are those levees made out of? If you need more time, pause. If you think you know, here's the answer. Earth materials, right? If you wrote dirt, that counts. If you wrote anything that you would find on the earth, that counts. Erosion Explosion round 3. Here we go. It says, yowza, you're on fire. Think you can handle round 3? Score 5 points for each correct answer now. So that means these are going to be tricky, tricky questions. Hope you guys are ready. Why do people want to control erosion? Why do people want to control erosion? Definitely going to need to give yourself a minute or two. Press play when you're ready to hear an answer, and your answer doesn't have to be the same as this, but it should be something like this, right? They want to keep soil and sediments in place. Erosion can destroy land, make unwanted changes, and take away precious soil. Right? We also talked about how erosion can destroy land. We talked about how it's not safe. We talked about how it changes the shape of places that they didn't want the shape of the land to change. Right? Think about people that live along the beach. So anything like that would have earned you 5 points. Next question, what would be an effective way to control erosion from tides and waves? What would you build to protect against tides and waves? The answer, build a seawall. All right, how do plants help control erosion? How do plants help control erosion? I want you to think about the plant parts. And this is another one where you might need some time to think about the answer. But press play when you are ready to hear the answer. The roots of the plants and trees help hold the soil in place. This stops the soil particles from being carried away by wind or water. So the part of the plant, the roots, are what's so important. They kind of act like a hand and they just grab onto that sand or that soil and hold it in place. 5 points if you had something like that. Thank you so much for playing Erosion Explosion. I want you to go ahead and count up the amount of points you earned. So when you are all set with that, you can put your journal away. You do not need your journal for the rest of science today. Okay, but you will need to grab some non-ordinary objects today, all right? Your task for science, all on your own, is to build an erosion control, right? And here are the steps. It says, first, create and draw any landscape. And I gave you some ideas. You can draw a picture of a park, the beach, a farm, a neighborhood, anything you can think of. Second, you're going to color your drawing in. And I want your drawing to be big, right? Take up an entire blank piece of paper, or if you use your journal, take up 2 whole pages in your science journal. Color it in. Third, on top of your landscape that you drew, you are going to build an erosion control to protect the landscape. And I gave you some ideas of materials you can use when you are building, right? You can use Legos, paper, books, Unifix cubes, popsicle sticks. Think of Miss Miller STEM bins, the things that I have in my STEM bins. If you have any toys like that at home, you can use those. Here's some inspiration. So these are some of my friends from last year's second graders. First, they drew a farm landscape, you can see. They colored it in. And then using hashtag blocks, they created windbreaks. That's one idea. I also had friends who drew up a river landscape. So you could see the river right in the middle. You could see the grass around the river, and then there's a neighborhood in the distance. And they used Legos to build a levee around the river. So those are some ideas. I want you to think outside the box. I have more pictures, but I don't want to give too much away to you guys. I really want you to think on your own. What type of landscape should I draw? What type of erosion control should I build? Have fun with it, okay? And please send me pictures so I can see what you build and create. Have fun. Bye, second graders.